What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about 5 sneaky expenses that you need to keep an eye out for and give a quick explanation about how you can avoid them. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. It really helps us out.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.
Starting off with number 1, that's going to be insurance. Everybody has insurance, health insurance, car insurance. Well, I hope everybody has all these insurances, and home insurance. Sometimes renter's insurance if you don't have home insurance, but they almost every year they go up, and it's just enough that you're like, okay, like $100 on $1,000 premium, a couple $1,000 premium, you're like, okay. Then it just keeps going up, but all of them go up, and all of them go up again, and they just keep doing that. But if you take a little bit of time every 6 months to a year and you just shop around, almost everybody says it, but not a lot of people actually take advantage. Sometimes 6 months in, sometimes a year in, you should just shop around and ask providers. Actually, you don't even have to go to the individual. There's companies out there nowadays that will shop for you. You just go to a broker, basically, and they'll just put out your information and see what the quotes come back.
Yeah, they're like,
it's as easy as that.
I'll tell you what your best quote is. That's how I got my car insurance.
Exactly. 5 minutes or less usually, and you can find out how much you can save, or if you have the best you can get at this moment, and you can sleep better at night.
Yeah. Or even just mentioning that you're going to be shopping around to your current provider. They're like, oh, we're about to raise you this much. Well, maybe I'll shop around a little bit. They're like, oh, well, let me see what I can do. Let me talk to my manager or something. They don't want to lose your business. So even kind of just putting that out there can benefit you. But also, may turn out you can save hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah, and then you're mad because you're like, you were sitting on that discount the whole time. You're like, I don't want to stay with you anyways.
It can be frustrating when you're like, I've been getting ripped off.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, insurance is a big thing. I know a lot of people don't want to deal with that hassle, but great way to save money right there. But moving on to the second thing is when you're going to the gas station, you're there just for that gas.
The big one.
Yeah, don't be spending money on all these little, snacks or drinks or anything. You go in, you're like, oh, I'm spending a couple bucks on a little soda, a couple bucks on a bag of chips or something. I mean, everything seems to be inflated now. So besides Arizona, maybe the 99-cent Arizona, that's how you save a little bit. But if you can cut all that out cold turkey, that's even better. But, you're like, oh, well, I kind of want, a quick drink here. I bet you'd be surprised if you went into your budget, if you have one. Definitely should have that, by the way. If you look at what you've been spending, you'd be surprised probably by all the little snacks and little trinkets that you get on all these little things, gas station or wherever you may be spending just a little extra money that you're like, it's no big deal. You'd be surprised. They sneak up on you.
Oh, yeah, because you're getting one thing here, one thing there, 2 things here. Or you go on a long road trip, you're like, I'm going to get a couple snacks, a candy bar, a drink, and it keeps building up. But also, those Cokes, more expensive than the grocery store. The chips, way more expensive than the grocery store. So they're already inflated, and they were getting them every time we fill it for gas, which is like every few days to a week.
Yeah, you're getting a bunch.
Yeah.
And half the time it's like candy that's not actually filling you up. It's just something to snack on. So, I mean, grabbing that from the house because you bought it at the grocery store for a lot cheaper. Yeah. Great way to save money.
And a third tip, we all love to travel, but a lot of sneaky expenses when you're traveling sneak up on you sneakily. Who could say sneaky the most this whole video? So, for example, a lot of people when they go somewhere want to pull out cash. ATM fees. That always hits you because you don't have your card at the right bank close by, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
You already left the country. You're like, oh, let me just use the card I have. Not thinking about it, that card has ATM fee or foreign transaction fees as well as out of the country ATM fees. And then you're going to use a lot of the money while you're on vacation. You forget to check your savings account or your checking account, over withdrawal fee. You have so many fees that tack on with the little travel and banking expenses that it gets so frustrating. And you're like, $5, $15, no big deal.
Hey, I don't go fast. An ATM fee makes me angry. Oh yeah, I'm angry no matter what. Even if I deal with it here, but especially internationally.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you got to plan ahead for those kind of things, and if you're able to do that, boom, that's an extra little croissant or something,
Depending on where you're traveling.
Yeah. I'm going to New Hampshire. But on top of that, also things with your cell phone. You'd be surprised how much a roaming fee or like an international call fee, those build up quick and they're stupid expensive sometimes. Depending on your plan, they can way overcharge you and it's like ridiculous. And you'll try and argue it. They're like, this has been in your policy. You're like, oh, it's a whole thing. And it's so frustrating, but it is the reality.
So while you're on vacation, you're hanging out, you have a brewski or two, and you're just relaxing, enjoying. Think of them.
Yeah, you think everything's fine.
Yeah, think of them ahead of time. So you're not on the trip and get home, you're like, oh my gosh, do you see all the extra expenses we have? So enjoy your time and don't have to worry about those fees.
Yeah. And next, this is a bit of one that you may have heard a lot before, but managing your subscriptions and everything. I mean, these things really do creep up on you because it's an automatic withdrawal from your account. You don't realize that you're spending all this money. And a lot of times, they're going to be raising their prices. and they may like advertise it somewhere, and they're claiming, oh well, we told you about this, but you didn't hear about it. You know, they're not stressing that you hear about this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the end of the world to them if you don't find out that your bill's going from like $20 to $30 a month. But it seems like all the subscriptions at like one time like to all raise their prices. So now you're suddenly paying like $60 more a month, and you're like, well, where's all my money going? And you don't even think to look at it because it's something automatic. It's just something you don't even think about. You're not swiping your card or anything like that. So
yeah, and they do it
those,
in many different ways. So they don't just say your base rate goes up. They do that oftentimes, but they also say like Amazon, you used to have Audible included. Now you got to pay for Audible a lot of times.
Yeah.
When you have
extra little packages
ESPN,
for
now
things.
there's ESPN Plus. Now you have like there's so many things that they have they've broken off. The benefits have gotten worse, and they want
YouTube
you to
TV,
pay that.
We don't have this channel anymore. You got to buy an extra package. It's like, oh my gosh.
So, or
all
the
these
Netflix with the password sharing now, you got to have a whole nother account. Even if you have like a vacation home you go to, you got to have a whole nother account. So you got to pay for 2 accounts now. So like they do many ways to raise them. So just keep an eye on that, and then always have a total. What subscriptions do I have, and how much they costing me total, fees and everything. Is it still worth it?
Yeah.
And last but not least, number 5 is just overbuying in general.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're in the house so often that things almost become mundane after a while. And we're like, oh, I've been looking at these curtains so long. I don't want to look at them anymore. I want new ones. Or we've had this bedspread or this sheet cover, anything for too long.
Glassware,
I don't want to do it.
all sorts of little things.
Things that for the age-old saying, if it's not broke, you don't have to fix it.
Yeah.
And if it's not disgusting, you don't have to replace it. Just like because it gets old, like it's okay. We don't have to spend the money just because.
Yeah, and some people's definition of old is completely different. Like,
right.
There's like, I've had this for a while. They could be in perfect condition, look brand new, but they're like, I've looked at this too long.
Right.
You know, that's just extra superfluous spending that you don't need to do.
Superfluous.
Hey, I like to throw in a few vocab words.
And that, when you drive by the house that has like 15 Amazon packages stacked up, you're like, like that's a little bit much. You don't need to always be refreshing, you don't have to do all of that all the time. It's not bad to do it, but all the time. That's when you get to overspending. Or similar to the gas station, you go to Target, you're like, oh, I just forgot the one thing for the recipe I was working on. Okay, let me just go grab that. You end up with a drink, you end up with a shirt.
Oh, the clearance section right here?
Yeah, exactly. So that overspending is the thing. Not spending, just overspending.
Yeah, going to the grocery store hungry and you end up buying a bunch of junk. I remember the first time I ever went grocery shopping when I moved out in college. I bought exclusively like candy, Fruity Pebbles, Pop-Tarts. Nothing that filled me up at all. I went through it in like 2 days and I spent like $80.
It's like that typical when you're like 5-year-old. I just want to stay up, eat ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm in control
eat marshmallows. Now. Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, but it only took me one time. I'm like,
yeah,
hungry 2 days later. There's no way I can keep doing this.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't buy the Fruity Pebbles. I love some Fruity Pebbles. They don't fill you up at all, but yeah, great stuff.
So tell us in the comments below if there's any we're missing. These are just quick ones we thought about and that we really it hits home and we've experienced ourselves and we're like, dang it, like this really added up. Or those foreign transaction fees, we're like, dang, I totally didn't think about, should have just used my other credit card. So think about it and let us know in the comments what you guys have experienced or if there's ones you've avoided from someone else's experience.
Yeah. Give us your horror stories about all these extra little fees. You know, maybe make us feel a little bit better about some of ours.
True.
But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week. We've got a lot of great content coming.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.